Okay. So now that we're done with the integrated writing, we finished the first writing task, right? Remember we said in the writing section, we have a total of 2 different questions. The first is the integrated writing, and the second is called the writing for an academic debate, which is relatively new. So now that we have covered the first one, we're going to move on to the second question, the writing for an academic debate. That's what we're going to be doing today. You'll see that it's pretty easy to explain, I'd say, pretty easy to do, and pretty fast as well, because it's only 10 minutes long. Okay, so we'll be doing the writing for an academic discussion. Do you have any questions at all before we start? Okay, guys, so let's see. Okay. So in this question, what you guys have to do is pretty much write an online post. Okay, how does this question work? You guys have to imagine that you are a student in an online class, and you are basically writing a post for this class. You're in a debate. Sorry. So you will have something like this on your screen. Okay, you will have something like this. On the left part, you have the instructions. On the top left corner, you have the instructions. So maybe, Geraldine, do you mind reading the instructions for us? Please read the instructions.
Your professor is teaching a class on political science. Write a post responding to the professor question, and your response you should experience support your personal opinion, make a contribution to the discussions in your own words. An effective response will contain of less 100 words. You have 10 minutes to complete this task.
Okay, great, thank you. So that's it. Those are the instructions. It says, as I was telling you, you have a professor, which is your teacher, your university teacher, and that is basically teaching a political science class. Every time it's going to be something different. Don't always expect to have political science. What you guys have to do is write an answer to one question that the professor asks here. The professor is asking a question here. So perhaps we can have Salma, could you please read what I'm underlining, this question here?
If you have to choose between prioritizing economic growth or protecting the environment, which one would you like? Would you pick why?
Okay, thank you, Salma. That is the question. So this professor on political science is asking that question to his students. You are one of his students. Because if you have to choose between prioritizing economic growth or the environment, what would you choose? You have two options, right? Prioritizing the environment or prioritizing economic growth. The professor has raised that question. And what you guys have to do is write a response, write a post, write a little text where you express your opinion, where you say, well, I believe that this is more important to prioritize the environment or the economic growth, where you support your opinion, you give reasons, you give details to support that opinion, to explain why. And not only that, but where you also make a contribution to this discussion. What is this discussion? In this post, in this discussion, you can already see two responses from two other students. These are your classmates. In this case, we have Susan and we have Alex. And they have already responded to this question. They have already written their posts answering this question of prioritizing the environment or economic growth. So what you guys have to do is you need to read their responses and you need to talk about your own opinion, but you need to make sure that you are somehow being part of the debate. You can't just exclude yourself from the class and write whatever you want without considering your classmates' opinions. So you need to do that. You need to talk about your opinion answering this question, and you need to make sure that you are being part of this discussion, that you're showing that you understand, that you're part of the class, and that you take into consideration Susan and Alex's responses as well. Okay, guys? You need to do all of this in, let's say, 100 words as a minimum, and you get 10 minutes to do everything. That is to read this, to read the professor's post, to read your classmates' post, and post. Okay, guys? Is it clear? ¿Se entiende? En español, rápidamente. Tienen que pensar que están siendo parte de una clase online, ¿no? En esta clase, su profesor hace una pregunta debatible. Lo que pregunta es, si priorizarían el medio ambiente o el crecimiento económico. Ahora, a esta pregunta, dos de sus compañeros en la derecha ya han respondido a esa pregunta, ya han dado su opinión y han explicado su opinión. Lo que ustedes tienen que hacer es leer todo, leer la pregunta, las opiniones de sus compañeros y escribir un pequeño post donde hablen de su propia opinión, respondan a esta pregunta dando su propia opinión, apoyando su opinión con razones, con ejemplos, y además donde contribuyan a la discusión. Es decir, tienen que ser parte de este debate y tomar en cuenta las opiniones de sus compañeros, de sus aliados. Okay, that's what you guys have to do, and you get 10 minutes to do everything. Is it okay so far? Do you have any questions about the format? Okay, awesome. So I am going to give you guys some time. I'll give you 1 or 2 minutes to read everything, okay? Obviously, we already read the instructions, so I just want you to read what the professor says, and I want you to read both responses. Okay, guys, I'll give you 2 minutes. Okay, guys. So you already know the question, right? What you have here is a little introduction, like a little introductory phrase or past paragraph for the topic. But to be honest, I don't recommend that you guys read this. Okay, so please don't read this. Remember, you have 10 minutes for everything, so you need to save some time. So don't read any of this. I know you already read it, but really it's not necessary. The only thing that you should do is first read the question. The question will always be at the end of the professor's introduction here. So that is the first thing you do. You read the question, it says, if you have to choose between prioritizing economic growth or the environment, what would you choose? You have two options, right? Prioritizing economic growth or the environment. Now, after you did that, I don't recommend that you read this very carefully, but you do need to at least scan it. I don't want you guys to focus on the details. When you're reading your classmates' responses, you're going to actively be looking for two elements. The first one is going to be his or her opinion, so what option they have chosen, and second, one reason, okay, or the main reason. Okay, guys? So for example, Susan, what is her opinion? What does she think? How does she answer this question? What does she say?
She prefers to prioritize the environment.
Exactly. She would prioritize the environment. And can you maybe give me or tell me one thing that she says? What is one of her reasons? She says, we only have one planet, and if we don't take care of it, we won't have pleasant lives in the future. That's it. To be honest, that's all you needed to read. You read that and you already know her reason. Ya saben su razón, así que no leen nada más. No pierdan el tiempo leyendo todo con cuidado. Same thing for Alex. What does Alex say? What is his opinion? Alex would prioritize economic growth, right? He says, I think that economic growth is the only way to solve many of the social and economic problems we face. So honestly, I would just read that, solo leería eso, lo demás ya no. No es necesario. Okay, guys, maybe if you have some time at the end, you can read a little bit more. You can say, we need a strong economy. Not only that, but if companies grow stronger and more profitable, they may eventually develop new technologies that solve our environmental problems. So maybe you can read around, but you don't have to waste your time reading everything carefully. Okay, the important thing is that you understand each student's opinion and at least one point that they make. Is that okay so far? That is the first thing that you have to do. You read the question, only the question, which is going to be at the last part of the introduction, and you read around Susan and Alex's response, looking for their opinions and one of their reasons. Is it clear? Do you guys have any questions so far? Okay, guys, awesome. So now that you have that clear, now what do you actually do? How do you write your post? This is what we're going to do. We're going to be using this template that we have here, which is pretty simple to understand, I'd say. Very basic, but it contains everything you guys need. We're going to have only 7 elements. Everything will be in the same part. Siete elementos, todo en el mismo par. Our first element is going to be like a short introduction to our text. And in our first sentence, we're going to say what student we agree with. So do we agree with Susan or do we agree with Alex? Do we think that prioritizing the environment should be that we should prioritize the environment or economic growth? What do you guys think? What position do we choose? What would you say?
I would say that we agree with Susan.
Okay, so we would prioritize the environment. Perfect. So that's it. That's what you need for the first sentence. You say, I completely support Susan's opinion. We prioritize the environment. Now that we have decided what student we agree with, we're going to call that student student A. That's going to be our student A. Okay, guys? So student A is Susanna, and student B will be Alex. So we're going to say, I completely support Susan's opinion. That's it. That's our introductory phrase. And then what do? In our second element, we're going to summarize one of Susan's points, okay? We're going to vary in one clause, una cláusula, una sola idea, sin ningún conector. In one clause, we need to summarize student A's point. So remember we said, habíamos dicho que we only have one planet, and if we don't take care of it, we won't have pleasant lives in the future. That was her main point, right? So we just need to say the same. We're going to say, besides the fact that, además del hecho de que, we can say, there is only one planet. Or let's say, besides the fact that the Earth is our only, or let's say, is the only home we have, let's say, I don't know. Something like this, right? At the end of the day, I'm paraphrasing. You don't have to copy and paste. You cannot say, besides the fact that we only have one planet, right? We paraphrase it. The Earth is the only home we have. That's it. We are saying the same, but in different words. That is Susan's opinion. I'm sorry, that is Susan's point, right? So we say, besides that point, además de ese punto, además del hecho de que el planeta es el único hogar que tenemos, y ahora tenemos que añadir una razón propia de nosotros, es decir, algo que no se ha mencionado antes por nada. Es importante que sea diferente. No pueden continuar con la misma idea porque si no sería repetitivo y no estuvieran realmente aportando a la discusión. Simplemente están repitiendo, parafraseando, pero no están aportando nada nuevo. Tienen que aportar algo nuevo, ¿verdad? En esta idea, esta razón, tienen que ser algo completamente nuevo. Entonces, su trabajo es pensar otra razón por la que están de acuerdo con la opinión de Susan. So, can you guys think of another reason why we should prioritize the environment rather than economic growth? Aside from the fact that the Earth is the only planet we have, what else can you guys think of? What's another reason?
I would say also that in the Earth lives other species.
Exactly. I like that because it's entirely different from what was mentioned before. We can say it is widely known that, let's say, how can we say that? Maybe we can say it's widely known that it is not only our planet we need to take care of, but it's also for thousands of other creatures. Okay, something like that. Maybe, I don't know. Just an idea, right? So this is Susan's idea. Besides the fact that the Earth is the only home we have, it is widely known that it is not only our planet that we need to take care of, but it's also home for thousands of other creatures that we share. I don't know. Okay, we can leave it there. But the Earth, let's say, is also home for thousands of other creatures. Let's say creatures. You know, I could maybe even add that will suffer the consequences of our actions. No, maybe something like this. So I completely support Susan's opinion. Besides the fact that the Earth is the only home we have, it is widely known that it's not only our planet we need to take care of, I don't know why, but it sounds a little bit redundant. I can say it is widely known that the Earth is also home for thousands of other creatures that will suffer the consequences of our actions. Creo que ahora sí, ¿no? No es tan repetitivo. Antes estaba muy repetitivo, muy redundante. Pero esa es la idea. Primero, nuestra introducción, con cuál estudiante estamos de acuerdo. I completely support Susan's opinion. Then we summarize that student's point, or we paraphrase it. I think that'd be better. Besides the fact that the Earth is the only home we have, and then we add one more reason that is entirely different from what was mentioned before. The Earth is also home for thousands of other creatures that will suffer the consequences of our actions. ¿No? La estructura es un poco, estoy completamente de acuerdo con tal estudiante, además del hecho de que, además de lo que él o ella ya menciona, que el planeta es el único hogar que tenemos, también es hogar para otros animales, ¿no? Para otras criaturas. Or species, maybe, I don't know. And that's it. Those are the three first elements. Is it clear so far? Do you guys have any questions up until this point? Guys, so far so good. Now, the next thing you need to do, remember that the question says that you need to be part of the discussion, that you need to contribute to the discussion, no? This is, I would say, like a mix between an independent and an integrated response. Because even though you're supposed to talk about your own opinions, you're also gonna show that you understood what you read. So it's about understanding the reading as well. It's not just about giving your opinion without thinking about everything that was there. If you guys had these responses, these posts, is because of one reason. It's not because you have to ignore them, but you have to consider them in your response. So what we're going to say next in our next step is show that we understood the other student's point as well. Show that we understand what the other student is saying as well. So we're going to say, if Susan was our student A, our student B is Alex, right? So we will say, Alex has a good point. Alex tiene un buen punto. When he says that, cuando menciona, cuando dice que, y aquí tenemos que poner cualquier punto que mencione el otro estudiante con el que no estamos de acuerdo. Pero tiene que ser un punto que podamos objetar o que podamos aclarar. Por ejemplo, maybe we can say, Alex has a good point when he says that, I don't know, we are facing many social and economic problems that require a strong economy, no? Maybe we can say something like that. And that way we are showing that we understood what Alex said. Alex has a good point when he says that, and maybe we can say, we are currently facing many or multiple, several social and economic problems that require strong economy to be solved. Okay. So this is what Alex says, right? Alex has a good point when he says that we are facing different social and economic problems that require a strong economy to be solved. That is true. And now, after we have mentioned Alex's point, we need to counter-argue it. We need to challenge it. Ahora tenemos que, de alguna forma, contradecirlo. No contradecirlo, sino relacionarlo con nuestra idea, ¿no? Contrastarlo sería la idea correcta. So Alex has a good point. Podemos decir, sí es verdad que existen varios problemas sociales y económicos, pero aquí tenemos que poner el pero, y piensen en un pero. So, however, ¿cómo podemos contrarrestar este punto? Sí es verdad que hay problemas económicos, sociales, pero tenemos que decir que es más importante el medio ambiente. Entonces continuamos con nuestra idea, ¿no? Primero lo contrastamos, podemos decir, however, it is important to note that. Entonces podemos decir, however, it is important to note that the environmental problem or issue is more urgent. No, tal vez. Sí es verdad que tenemos otros problemas, pero el problema medioambiental es más urgente, is more urgent. Let's say, requires more urgent action. No quiero repetir requires, maybe we can say the environmental issue must be addressed with urgency, with more urgency maybe. Or sooner, I don't know, must be addressed with more urgency. Yes. And now we continue elaborating on our idea. So if you guys, if you want, you can come back to this idea. You can say the environmental issue must be addressed immediately, tal vez sería mejor. Or must be addressed first. No sé, alguna idea así. And then you can continue elaborating on your idea. So you can come back to the previous idea that you had, and you can say something else. Maybe you can say, need to be addressed first. Maybe not only for us, not only for protecting ourselves, but also every other species living in our planet. ¿No? Volvemos a nuestra idea. Not only for protecting ourselves, but also every other species living in our planet. Y ya está, ¿no? Hemos contrastado ese punto y hemos vuelto a nuestra idea principal. Y ahora finalmente tenemos que dar detalles. Necesitamos dar ejemplos, detalles, evidencia, cosas que prueben nuestro argumento, ¿no? It's up to you what type of examples you want to give. For example, if we're saying that there are other species that are suffering our consequences, you guys can maybe give examples of animals that are under danger of becoming extinct, or maybe like, I don't know, how fish are dying because of pollution, or, you know, just give some examples about what we're saying. So what do you guys think? Do you have any examples that we can give in mind? What can we talk about as the examples for the animals that are suffering our consequences? So what could we say?
Maybe that the temperature is getting hotter, and the woods are burning.
Right?
And
Or
that
are burning.
for-
Okay, forests are being burning.
and a lot of birds are losing their homes.
Okay. I really like this, but I would try to make it a little bit more specific. Give a specific examples, specific details. So maybe instead of talking about forests in general, we could probably talk about, let's say, the Amazon. Even though this doesn't necessarily have to be true, right? Remember that at the end of the day, it's just proving that you can write. They're not going to fact check the information you're giving. So maybe you can say, for example, as temperatures increased, or let's say as temperatures increased during the past 2 years, let's say, forests are burning, maybe we can say there have been over 100 forest fires destroying the Amazon, right? So I'm trying to make it a little bit more specific. As temperatures increased during the past 2 years, or maybe due to the, I will maybe even say something like, due to the alarming increase in temperatures for the past 2 years, there have been over 100 forest fires destroying the Amazon, which has, let's say, which has led to several bird species losing their homes, maybe, or losing their home. Okay, or maybe we can say to several okay, I would leave it there, maybe even say how many of them have become extinct, no? We can say something like that, which has led to several bird species losing their home. By 2022, about 13 unique bird species have gone extinct in South America. Thanks or due to because of global warming. Now it's just about making up information. This is probably not true, but it sounds plausible. It sounds like something that you would believe. Maybe 100 forest fires is a little bit too much for 2 years. Maybe I'll reduce it to 30. I don't know if 30, 50. Yes? But that's what you guys need to do. Basically, just give information that proves your point, that proves what you're saying. And make sure that you're a little bit specific as you can be. You know, give examples, specific details, numbers, names. But it's really important to try to be specific. Okay, guys? Is that okay so far? Any questions? Okay. And finally, after you have elaborated on your idea by giving examples and details and so forth, the last thing you guys need to do is have a short conclusion for the paragraph where you directly answer the question. In this case, you're going to go back and read the question again. So the question was, if you had to choose between prioritizing economic growth or the environment, which one would you pick? So I would say that's why I feel that if I had the choice, I would definitely prioritize the environment, right? Protecting the environment. And that's it, environment. Okay, guys? So this would be a really good post. That's it, that's all you need. Of course, it doesn't have to be perfect, and I mean, it doesn't have to be this long either. I'm pretty sure that if we count the number of words, we must have around 150, 170, even 200 words. You do not have to have so many. So for example, I gave kind of 2 examples, right? Many details here. You don't, you just need 1 sentence there. It's okay. But this is the idea. You know, this is an ideal structure that maybe you want to use. You have a short introduction where you mention which student you agree with. You summarize that student's point. You add your own reason. You mention the other student's point and you challenge it and you elaborate on your idea and you have your conclusion. It's just a matter of practicing with using the technique. But it's not that difficult. You'll see. It's totally easier than the previous question that you had instead of this. So what do you guys think now? What questions do you have? Comments?
I have one question. There is a possibility that we have to agree with the two opinions.
Do you mean like if you can write and you can say that you agree with both students?
Yes.
Yeah.
In this case, with Alex and Susan.
Yes, technically they say that. I mean, it's not about what you write, it's not about your opinion. So if you say that you agree with both, it's okay, but you will need to have a strong way of proving it, of explaining and elaborating your idea. So you guys can really say that you agree with both. Maybe you can even say, I don't agree with either of them. I think that we should prioritize culture, let's say. You can do whatever you want in terms of your opinion, as long as it's related, right? And the only thing is that, to be honest, if you guys don't go with one of them and don't support their opinion as strongly, it becomes harder to have a good structure. So it will be harder to say that you agree with both, because you will have to summarize both reasons, and then you will have to probably give details for both, right? For both reasons. You will have to say economic growth is important. You need to think of one reason supporting economic growth that's not what Alex said. And then you need to think of another reason supporting environment that's not what Susan said. And then you need to think of details for both. So it's kind of harder to do that. But it's possible for sure. And if you do it well, you can get a good score.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. So technically you can, but to be honest, I don't recommend it. You know, as I was telling you, it's not about what you write too much. It's about how you write it. If you're able to explain and elaborate and support what you're saying. And it's definitely not about your truest, deepest opinion. This is not about what you think. You know, it doesn't matter if you agree with one or the other. It's not about expressing your actual opinion, but it's about demonstrating that you can talk about opinions. So you don't necessarily have to do what your heart says in this case. Just think of the easiest one to write about. That's what I would do. Think of the easiest option, the easiest argument, and go with that. Any other question? Okay. Okay, guys, so let's count how many words we've written. Remember that I say that at least 100 should be ideal. So I'm going to eliminate these parentheses we have. Because obviously that's not going to be your response. And we're going to count how many we have. So we have 162 actually. It's not that much. You know, I thought it was going to be around 170, even 80. We have 162. It's okay, because technically if we eliminate this sentence, it should still be okay. Right, let's see. It's still okay, 145. So you don't need to explain too much. You don't need such a long example, but it should be around something like this, on these lines. No questions, really? Everything's clear? Guys, I also wanted to say, in case there are some cases in which they don't really have options in the question. So maybe they don't say, Would you prioritize the environment or economic growth? You have options, right? You can choose A or B. But there are some questions in which they would say, if you were a policymaker, what issue would you prioritize? So even if it looks like it's an open question, what issue would you prioritize? So you could say I prioritize environment, economic growth, culture. I prioritize sports. I prioritize infrastructure. So you could talk about many infinite possible answers. It's always better to agree with one student. Siempre, siempre es mejor estar de acuerdo con uno de los estudiantes. Eso facilita mucho las cosas. Y añadir una razón extra a la que ya menciona, ¿no? Eso es lo más fácil que pueden hacer. Estar siempre de acuerdo con uno de los estudiantes y añadir una razón y dar ejemplos. Eso es todo lo que necesitan hacer y después es poner las palabras juntas, ¿no? Put the words together about what they say. Okay, that's another thing that I wanted to say. You really don't have questions then? Okay, nice. So we have exactly 10 minutes. Maybe we can try to write another one. Okay, guys. So I'm also going to copy the template here. So you have it. Okay, guys, I'm sending you all this link. I want you to please open it. Let's see. All right, I just sent you guys the link. Please open it. And this is the task. Remember what I told you. Don't read the instructions. You already know what to do, so don't read the instructions. The only thing you need to read is the last part of the professor's post. La última parte del post del docente, donde está la pregunta. Y luego escanear rápidamente las opiniones de los estudiantes, identificar su opinión y una razón, y ya, comenzar a escribir lo más rápido posible, sin quedarse ahí a leer palabra por palabra, detalle a detalle. That's just going to be a waste of time. Do you guys have any questions? All right. So starting now, please, you have 10 minutes until 9 p.m. sharp to finish writing the posts, okay? And then you guys will send them. Okay, guys, so please send me your responses. You can, if you want, copy and paste them here in the Zoom chat, and I'll be pasting them here. We can look at the first one. Anyone that wants to send the response?
I can send it, but I didn't finish it.
It's okay, whatever you have.
Okay. I will send now the link.
Okay.
Or can I paste there, down there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Paste it in the chat.
Sorry, how do we send the paragraph?
You can copy and paste it here in the Zoom chat, and I'll be pasting it here in my document.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. We have Guadalupe. Let's see. Okay. So she says, I completely support Mike's opinion. For after the verb support, we don't really need anything. We don't need a preposition. So first, careful with the grammar. I completely support Mike's opinion without the we. So besides the fact that targeted advertising is more efficient for the customers and the company, very well, muy bien. Este es exactamente lo que dice Mike, ¿no? Que es más eficiente para los consumidores porque les sale más barato y la compañía porque ahorran costos, ¿no? Muy bien. Lo único, gramática, el uso del indefinite article, the. We don't really use it when we talk about things in general. Ahora estamos hablando del advertising in general. We're not talking about one specific targeted advertising. We're talking about it all. So don't use it when we talk about general things. But after that, I think it's perfect. Muy bien. So besides that, it is widely known that all of us have different interests. And in my case, I don't like to see an advertising that doesn't go with my personal interests. Muy bien. Está muy buena la idea. Ahora sí, lo que no sé si es que Mike ya mencionó esa parte. A ver. Entonces dice, reach consumers that are relevant to their interests. Creo que no. No menciona sobre la parte de los consumidores, que a ellos no les gusta ver. Entonces me parece bien. Lo que sí, all of us have different interests, coma, puntuación antes del and. Si está uniendo ideas separadas, va una coma. And in my case, otra coma, I don't like to see an advertising that doesn't go with my personal interests. Muy bien. Ok. Esto está muy bien y me gusta bastante, pero lo que sí es tal vez en esta idea general, Cuando presentan sus razones, yo lo trataría de mantener en general. Es decir, no hablar todavía personalmente de uno mismo, sino de los consumidores en general. Podríamos decir, it is widely known that all of us have different interests, puede ser, and consumers don't like to see advertising that doesn't go with their personal interests, ¿no? Cuando presentan la idea, hay que tratar de mantenerlo en general. Después, cuando dan ejemplos, pueden hablar de un ejemplo en específico, ¿no? Yo no tengo una cocina, entonces no me gusta ver advertising de elementos de cocina, por ejemplo. Ahí sí pueden ser específicos y hablar de ustedes mismos. Pero antes no. Ahora, Jessica has a good point when she says that the advertisers need to create high quality ads. Muy bien, exacto, ¿no? Eso es lo que dijo Jessica, que deberían crear anuncios que le lleguen a todas las personas. However, it's important to note that, ok, muy bien, solamente te quedaste acá, te faltaba un poco. Podrías decir, por ejemplo, it's important to know that it's really difficult to create an ad that appeals to everybody's interests, for example, no? Or maybe it's too expensive to create this type of ads. I don't know, but I think you were going in the right track. Estabas bien. Muy bien, Guadalupe, thank you so much. Do you guys have any questions so far? Okay, guys. So don't worry if you didn't have time to finish or if you didn't send your responses. Either way, tomorrow's our practice session and we'll be practicing. Everybody's going to be writing and we will have plenty of time because remember, this is just 10 minutes. So we'll probably dedicate our first 15 minutes to the class to doing this. And then during the resting 45 minutes, we'll be checking your responses. Okay, guys? So don't worry if we didn't have time to do that today. We'll be practicing tomorrow. Do you guys have any questions before we go? Okay, guys, great. Then please don't forget to complete today's daily survey on your way out, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Hope you have a great night.
Thanks, see you.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Perfect.
Bye, see you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.